All right, welcome back to the Red Alert Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Chap, along with my other host, Cindy Barry. Cindy, you were just saying how we have our Detroit Red Wings news powered by IQ. We always have conversations on there. We have the highest engagement. It's one of the biggest Facebook pages right now for the Red Wings. The way we're like crushing numbers, we're crushing numbers like Stone Cold Steve Austin crushes cans of beer. And listen, the one
We're nailing it.
But listen, there is a group of people that are Red Wings fans, and I totally understand where they're coming from, but they're totally crushed because we got rid of their guy. I'm talking to the Toozy fans. These guys that are like, oh, we should not have get rid of Bertuzzi, but we should have got rid of Larkin. I'm like, oh my God, like we freaking having this conversation again? Like we all know Tyler Bertuzzi is a gritty, tough Detroit style player. But enough of the shit. Like, I don't care what you say about it. Like, this guy, he has not stayed healthy the whole entire year. And I got people saying we should have gave him a deal instead of Larkin. Are you insane? Like that would be Steve Yzerman's way of saying, look, here's a window on the Renaissance Center. I'm gonna jump out. That's exactly what it would be. Like signing Tyler Bertuzzi to a long-term contract, I want no part of. If the Bruins do after this year, so be it. Mess up your cap. I don't care. If some other team wants to do it and mess up their cap, cool. You do it. I would take Bertuzzi on a yearly basis as like a 1 year contract, but I'm not taking this guy as like a 3, 4, 5, 6 year guy because listen, as much as people want to downplay it, he's approaching 30 and he's already had major surgeries such as the back and all this stuff, and he missed a long period of time with his back, and obviously we have the stuff with the blocking the shots this year. He's injury prone. Like the way he plays the game is reckless. It's like you watch some of these players in the NHL, they play with a reckless abandon, and you watch them, and you're like, over the course of time, they're not gonna last the full like career like Ovi, right? Ovechkin's like he's a freaking freak of nature. The guy is he's a total gong show. This guy, Tyler Bertuzzi, he's a great player. He played well in Detroit, but that period is done, and you're looking forward to seeing who would be the next one. And I can tell you this right now, the way Stevie Yzerman's seen his team get shown up in Ottawa, which what a joke that was by Brady Tkachuk. You can bet your ass that guy's going to bring in some tough dudes. Not only just tough dudes, but guys that can score in this offseason coming up. I guarantee you that.
Okay, so I'm willing to bet you that the Twosies, your Twosie fans, the Twosies, I love it. I'm willing to bet these are the same people at the beginning of the season that were arguing that Tyler Bertuzzi should be the captain, or when before they gave the seat to Larkin, that he should be the captain, or that he should have been the captain, or something like that. These are people that absolutely love Tyler Bertuzzi because they think he's really fun to watch. He's an energetic player. They use the word gritty all the time. He's one of those guys, and he is, and that's true. He is fun to watch. He is a gritty player. Tyler's a lot of things. He's a heck of a nice guy. I can tell you this. I've met the guy on several occasions, talked to him for at length. He is a really, really nice guy. He's great in the locker room. He helps relieve the tension. He's just a goofy kind of. He is a very cool guy. He's very likable, and he certainly has some talent. And he's got guts, like you just said. He kind of plays. You said with reckless abandon, and he does. He plays very on the edge, and it's great for viewing. However, when you're looking at it from manager's perspective, there's a couple things that Tyler is not. Okay, all those great things that he is. Here's what he's not. Tyler is not your leader. Okay, he's just not. That's not who he is, and that's okay. He doesn't need to be. He fit the role of not being a leader just fine, and that's probably why he's fitting up in with Boston as well. Not only his gritty play, but he doesn't need to be a leader. He doesn't want to be a leader. It's just not his style. So he's not that. He is not the guy who's going to play it safe and steady. He's not the guy who's going to necessarily play it smart. He kind of flies by the seat of his pants. That's just who he is. Now, being said, okay, You can't say, okay, I'm going to pin my hopes or make him a long-term part of this organization when some of those things just don't fit our needs. And I'll go back to this too, Joe, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. If Tyler Bertuzzi wanted to be a Red Wing, he would have been. The fact of the matter was,
Absolutely.
yeah, he just didn't. People have to understand, of all the things that Tyler is and Tyler isn't, Tyler did not want to be a Red Wing anymore for the terms that the Red Wings wanted to give him. Period. That's it. So let him go. Wish him well. Don't blame anybody for it. We talked a little bit about this on the last show, and understand that this is probably the better move for both the Red Wings organization going forward. And you laid out some of those things. And it's true. The guy's injury prone. People want to like jump down our throats because we say he's injury prone. Well, he plays with his heart and he put his heart out there. That's great. You made a really good point, and I'm going to let you make it online. I'm going to let you make it here. But the other thing is, some people can take a licking and keep on ticking, and some people it takes them down. That's just the reality of the situation. I don't know if it's like genetics. The guy's got brittle bones. I don't know what his problem is, but for one reason or another, he can't take impact well.
No.
His body just doesn't. Okay, they break. It happens. It's okay. But nonetheless, that does devalue him as a long-term player, as you pointed out, which was a great point. He's knocking on 30 now. He's coming up on that point where the body is going to start to rebel against you anyway. Trust me, I've been there, and you love to point it out, Joe, and I can tell you, it doesn't get any easier at 40 either, or 50, but I don't know that yet for sure. But I got another email from AARP. But anyway,
what a crime. We got to give those to Tyler.
Oh yeah, you know what? I'm starting to get what is it? Silver seniors now.
Oh my God, if the dating website.
Yeah.
Oh,
whatever it is.
Whatever, dude.
Silver singles or something. I'm like, I'm first off not single. Secondly, I don't have silver hair. But whatever. I thought you'd enjoy that.
My name is Cindy Berry, and I'm 85.
Oh God. Anyway, so but the thing of it is that Tyler is getting older. You can't change that fact. He is somewhat injury prone or can't really sustain impact for whatever reason. You can't deny that. And you can't deny the fact that he did not want to be a Red Wing anymore unless they were really going to overcompensate him for it. Period.
You know what? Everyone says he played his heart out, all that stuff. But like, you playing your heart out is not merit for giving a contract to a guy that could potentially be unavailable, in a couple years.
There you go.
We saw it with like Franzen, and we saw it with Modano and Steven Weiss. Like, we're naming guys that like at the time they were signed to potentially like make a run. Obviously Franzen had the concussion issues. Weiss just dropped off. Modano, he fell off the face of the earth. But you get these contracts and you're like, okay, like maybe this guy can hold on for that long. And this is the reason I don't like these long-term contracts. I mean, you look at like the contracts that have been signed for like 8-7 years. I mean, you're looking at like Jonathan Quick just got traded from LA to Columbus, and then they traded him to Vegas. He was on a 10-year contract. Shea Weber had a 14-year contract. Like, these guys that have these long-term contracts, it usually doesn't bode well, especially when they sign them late in their career. It just doesn't bode well. So, and I look at a guy like Tyler Bertuzzi and I go, okay, he's 28, 29. He's got some life left on him. But then you watch the way he plays and you're like, oh, okay. It's the same thing in football, right? Like, you don't pay running backs. You don't pay running backs at all. You say, nope. When you cut your losses, when it doesn't matter how good they are, you cut your losses and say, all right, I can't pay you because I know that you're like getting beat down, and I don't want to be the guy who, this is business speaking right now. It's not player, I like this player and I think he's really good and I got his favorite jersey and it's business. It's business. You don't want to give a guy a contract who in 2 to 3 years, is this guy going to be readily available? Probably not. And that's where you go with it.
Well, I just don't see Tyler Bertuzzi getting any better. The next injury he faces could be career ending, and you just don't know when that's going to be. Like I said, he had the back injury, then he had both hands injured. how much more abuse is this guy's body going to take before he's just not able to play anymore? You don't want to end up with a guy on long-term injured reserve who ends up basically never coming back to the game. What good is that going to do your organization who's trying to get some momentum and make a run? It's just not. I think the window of opportunity for Tyler with this organization came to a close. And for those who are denying the fact that Tyler Bertuzzi wanted out, I submit to you this. If you think Tyler was so committed to the Detroit Red Wings, this is the same guy that during the last round of contract negotiations ended up going to arbitration. I think he was the only guy who went to arbitration. Everybody else was able to make a deal.
Yeah.
And this guy went to arbitration. So his issues didn't just start this season, okay? They've, I think, been plaguing this relationship for a while.
Real quick on the arbitration thing. Mm-hmm. You know, everyone who is in hockey or is in any sport, they always say how you want to avoid going to arbitration because what happens is you go into arbitration. And I was talking to my buddy Kevin who works for the Preds, and I was like, listen, like, arbitration is a bitch. That's exactly what he said. He says you go there, and these players are absolutely getting lambasted, like, on the smallest things. Like like you could never imagine the stuff that is being said about these from back and forth. Like, oh well, you don't cut your toenails. Like it just could be anything. Like they will use anything. Like you got a small cup size, and the player could use you don't have slip resistant showers. Like it's like holy crap. Like you guys, and that never bodes well. Like Nashville has a thing about with their team where they tried, if they have to sign a guy long term that they want to sign, they make sure he doesn't go to arbitration at all. Like if he goes arbitration, they know that this is going to be done. It's not going to be the same. It's going to be over with. The relationship's done.
Absolutely, because the arbitration means that you cannot even communicate effectively with each other, and that nobody is willing to give, and that there's a lack of trust, and it indicates a lot of things when you go to arbitration. And after you do, because of, as you pointed out, Joe, all those things that happen in arbitration, they are said and they happen for a reason, and it taints the relationship. So even if you're able to, all that arbitration is to come to an agreement. Yeah. And so once they finally come to an agreement on terms, that doesn't mean they're not walking out bloodied. Both sides walk out bloodied after an arbitration. And that doesn't do anybody any good for the health of a relationship going forward.
Yeah, and you know what? You could sit here and you could say, like, if Bertuzzi wanted to be here, he would have signed a contract. He would have been more forthcoming towards the team. Like Steve said in his press conference, he said, and he reiterated it again on 97.1 The Ticket the other day. He's like, listen, if Tyler wanted to, if he wanted to come in my office and make a deal, we would have made a deal, or we would have we would have tried to make a deal. But he said after the start of the season, he didn't hear anything from Tyler's representation. And finally he called Tyler's representation, before he was going to trade him, to see if they could work something out, and that's when he traded him. And to be honest, I think Stevie Y probably was like, okay, if I can get something done, let's try this thing again. And there was no bite. And it's not because Stevie didn't like his stance on the vaccine. It's not that he thinks Tyler is a bad player or he doesn't like gritty players, because I hear that shit all the time. It's that Tyler just didn't want to be here. And you know what? Kudos to him. You can call your own shot. You can go to your own place. You can go get a long-term contract somewhere else, because it ain't going to be in Detroit. I can guarantee you that.
And I don't think he's really going to get a long-term contract anywhere, to be honest with you, because of all the reasons we've talked about. I wish him the best. I really do, because he is a very nice guy. And he is really, there's just so many good things to say about Tyler Bertuzzi. I wish him the best. But I think he's a 100% rental for the Boston Bruins. I don't think they're looking at him to fill one of these slots for Krejci or for Bergeron or whatever when they leave. I don't, Right. And that's not Tyler. Tyler's not that guy. So I don't think they're looking at him to be a long-term part of their organization.
I think a team that would pay the freight for Tyler Bertuzzi is
Carolina.
No, a team that would pay the freight for Tyler Bertuzzi is a team that his uncle played for. Vancouver Canucks because they're a total shit show. They are the biggest shit show in sports. Like their owners came out and says, "We are not going to rebuild. We are going to retool, bro."
I,
If retooling worked, Steve Yzerman would have done it. Eventually,
Right.
you got to get good talent. Like I know Elias Peterson is a great player. I know JT Miller is great, but like, bro, like you just traded a first round pick that you got from Bo Horvat for Philip Hronek. What? I don't even know what you're doing.
well, and speaking of what they got, look at what they got for Tyler Bertuzzi, right? Everybody was talking about it in trying to make a guess on who they were going to get for Tyler Bertuzzi. They ended up getting nobody. They got picks, and that's fine. But the fact that they did not get any player for Tyler Bertuzzi, much less not even a roster player, and you would have thought they would at least traded the same for same. That didn't even happen here. You got a couple of picks, and I'm not saying they're not valuable, but for quote the Tyler Bertuzzi, you would have thought that they would have got more for him. And the fact that they didn't, and they didn't just shop him to Boston. Come on. They were shopping him probably all over. Supposedly all these teams were interested. And that's the best that the man, Stevie Y, could do is a couple of picks from Boston. What does that tell you about what Tyler's long-term value is around the league?
If you think about it, Tyler Bertuzzi got pretty much less than Phil Hronek got. And you know, Hronek he's a right-hand defenseman. So there's value there, but like even teams that are interested, like the Dallas Stars, I heard that they were interested in Bertuzzi. Jim Nill knows Bertuzzi really, really well. He was on the team that drafted Tyler Bertuzzi, and for him not to pull the you know, say I'll take him. It's like no, he didn't even take him. So this is an ongoing thing. Like the best you got was a first round pick next year. I think it's a 4th round pick the year after. Or it might be before. I don't know, but it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be.
Isn't it a protected top 10?
Yeah, but you know Boston's not going to be that bad. I mean, I'd be fooled if they were somehow in the lottery next year. That'd be unreal.
I don't know. Crazy things happen in that lottery, okay? I got my doubts. I'll tell you what. People got doubts about my business and how votes are counted and all that kind of stuff. I got some doubts about the NHL, about the lottery, man. That draft lottery, there's some really wonky stuff that happens. I don't even know because how we've gotten screwed 2 years in a row now. I think that's a little bit squirrely, but we'll see. But I think what Stevie's going to use these picks for, I think he's going to use 1 or 2 here or there. And we're going to talk about this in the next segment in terms of people wanting this notion of the Detroit Red Wings losing out for the rest of the season so that they can capitalize, you know, when it comes to the draft and stuff. But the thing of it is that when it comes to what Stevie Y is going to do with these picks, I think he's going to use them as leverage during the off season. And I think you're going to see him trade some of those away, possibly even during the draft itself. I think you're going to see him trading up, or you're going to see him trading off those picks to I would say acquire other players or to achieve other goals. Let's put it that way.
All right, we'll get to that in the next segment about the rebuild and do you want to see them lose out or do you want to see them win? It's going to be an interesting conversation because I think that me and Cindy have differing opinions for the most part, and we'll get to that in the Red Alert podcast next.